Hey guys, Crypto Sunday, and it's another one of those rare 0% move weeks. Haven't bought anything or sold anything, and overall the portfolio is completely flat. So, yeah, not much change there. Let's get on to some news. So we've potentially dodged a bullet for now, at least. There was a mining tax being proposed to tax electricity being used for Bitcoin mining for about 10% starting in 2024 and rising up to 30% in 2026. And with the sort of debt ceiling arguments and bits and pieces, this seems to have been chucked out. I'm not sure why exactly they decided to sort of make a point of getting that out, but yeah, Warren Davidson, I believe the senator, confirmed this. One of the victories is blocking proposed taxes. So he's one of sort of a small minority of senators that is pro crypto and certainly pro Bitcoin mining. And yeah, he was sort of seeing that as a victory. So they're sort of thinking that this will still be on the agenda at some point, may come back, but for now at least, it's been knocked on the head. So that's pretty good for some of my holdings, CleanSpark in particular. Nice bit of news for Brazil. Mercado Bitcoin, a licensed payment provider now by the central bank. So they are allowed to provide specific banking services such as digital fixed income investments, staking, and other financial transactions. And they're going to be offering a debit card to sort of on and off ramp users. So it's basically not having to go through sort of the back door anymore through Binance and other people like that. Being sort of approved by the central bank is a positive sign from them. We knew Brazil were sort of quite pro crypto. South America is sort of a bit of a mixed bag at the moment. Argentina sort of looking to crack down on it quite hard, but they have sort of inflation and a lot of capital flight, people looking to get out of the currency. I think they're at sort of 100% annual inflation, so people looking to do anything they can, even if it's just getting to dollars, basically. So, yeah, they're not very happy, but Brazil seem to be fairly pro-crypto, so this was pretty good. Coinbase trying to take on the mammoth monopoly of Binance derivatives. They have a derivatives exchange, and they have offered what they call nano futures on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they're now offering full contracts. So these are going to be, I believe, 1 Bitcoin and 10 Ethereum contracts, and yeah, pushing these to sort of institutions, given institutional demand, they say. So people are pushing them to make this available. I guess sort of big US institutions and sort of formal people don't want to be using Binance derivatives. So Coinbase being a US regulated firm, even if the SEC hates them, they're sort of seen as the most safe exchange and probably the most safe derivatives exchange. So yeah, interesting that they've launched that. You could see a bit of volume on there. Would rather obviously they get into physical, because we all know futures can sort of manipulate the price. The introduction of futures in 2017 was sort of widely accepted to have marked the top, basically to the day, of the 2017 bull run. So yeah, more companies getting into futures and not physical or spot Bitcoin and Ethereum is potentially bad, but it just brings more money into the space, hopefully. So we'll wait and see what happens with this. And what is now a fairly regular feature, Solana versus Cardano, I thought I would take a look at DeFi Llama, because they are Cardano is start actually making some moves. So their sort of DeFi stuff really started beginning of last year. They sort of had essentially nothing in total value locked, and this had sort of been milling around a couple 100,000 ADA, a couple 100,000 Cardano for quite a while, until sort of February time, when this has really started to take off. And I measure this in Cardano, not in US dollars, because that sort of doesn't get hampered by the token just going up and down in value. You want to know how many tokens are actually being staked and or used in DeFi. So this is lending and that sort of thing, rather than just staking for the staking rewards on chain. People sort of see, 70% of the tokens being staked as hugely positive, but really I would see that means tokens not really getting used. So total value locked I would see as quite good. It's being sort of used for various lending and hedging derivatives potentially purposes. So yeah, that's come up to sort of, well, from a couple 100 million ADA in January time up to sort of 300 and high 300s in April, and then May, sort of mid-May onwards, has really taken off again, and now up to 487 million Cardano or ADA. So yeah, nice development. Let's see if it continues. Not really seeing a huge uptick in active users. Never sort of quite sure how this is measured or sort of how accurate it is, but yeah, certainly sort of, well, a small increase, 65,000 users from the sort of recent average of 40 or so, but it's been, largely the same for quite a long while. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Getting into stable coins as well. Back in November, about 6 months ago, this was sort of nearly 2 million ADA's worth of stable coins on Cardano, and that sort of risen to about 10 million, sort of stalled a little bit at 12 million, but again is now on the rise sort of mid-May onwards. So whether they're sort of recent developments, they've been sort of introducing new, they had a hard fork and they've got a new smart contract language. So whether this is bringing more developers to Cardano, I don't know, but everything seems to be going up mid-May, and yeah, they've pushed up to sort of nearly 14 million ADA's worth. So yeah, all looking fairly positive. So I'm not going to be sort of making that switch just yet. I'm still looking to put more cash that I have on the sidelines into Solana, but I don't think I'll be making this Cardano to Solana switch. When you look at Solana's sort of similar metrics, it's not really seeing as much of an increase. Total value locked sort of increased ever so slightly, but sort of barely anything since sort of January time. Before here, obviously, it was FTX issues and that sort of thing. It's dropped right down, but in Sol terms, it's fairly stable. So yeah, it's not really a DeFi sort of chain. The recent spike in active users sort of hasn't maintained, which is a little bit of a negative. I thought this was sort of bullish development from the Render and Hive Mapper and Helium move. This could have been sort of, I guess, potentially people using it to move, and have now sort of, they're just stable and not really using the chain on a daily basis, but it's at sort of recent lows really in the 100,000 users, and Cardano was sort of up at 60,000. So where I was comparing this as Solana dwarfing Cardano in terms of users, it's now got sort of relatively close. And obviously, back in the high days when FTX was sort of pushing as hard as they could, it was up at sort of 400,000, and recently sort of hitting 300 or 400,000. But as I say, whether this is just sort of people moving and moving on to Solana as a sort of one-time bump in active users. Maybe they're not quite so active anymore. And the stablecoin side on Solana is sort of still a lot larger than Cardano, about sort of 8 times, around 8 times the value at sort of $1.5 billion, compared to Cardano's sort of 170 million or so. But Solana side isn't growing. It's sort of fairly flat since March time, really. It dropped down to sort of 1.5 billion. That spike down there, but that seems to have been just an anomaly, and has sort of stayed at 1.5 billion. So a lot more, but not growing. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this and carry on the battle. So as I say, very little change in the portfolio for the week. Just having a quick look. Bitcoin down 1.15%. It's more the altcoins that have held up. Ethereum up 2%. Solana up 4%. Cardano 1.3%. Chainlink is down 0.85%. XRP up 10.2%. Pretty good. They're still sort of getting towards, they're saying the lawsuit could potentially be resolved in July, and there's sort of talk about whether they'll get relisted on exchanges and that sort of thing. So people are happy on that. Audius 1.4% down. Matic continuing the drop down, 3.3%. Quant 13.9% up. Whether this is off the back of the XRP news, I think they're sort of seen as very similar. So if XRP turns out well, then Quant would do well off the back of it. Gala 2.2% down. Power Ledger 0.5% up. Basic Attention Token 2.8% down. Internet Computer 3% down, and VeChain 2.4% down. But as I say, nothing really much to speak of overall. So yeah, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and like and subscribe. See you soon.